Welcome back, friends. I am really excited to be bringing you this video today. So if you've seen my last few videos on FS25 here, you know that my struggle has been real with trying to get my graphic settings optimized to where everything was working all right for me. Well, I finally did it. I know that the game doesn't look as completely perfect as it possibly can. I'm not running a 4090, I'm running a 3060. So in a way, it's maybe almost underpowered, even though I'm well above even recommended specs on my PC. But, you know, it is what it is. I can run it in much better detail, but then I can't record. But now I can do both. So I figured I'd show you guys what I ended up having to do as far as settings go in order to make everything work, including, if I can get back to my tractor that I had just placed by the road. Well, I mean, you can really see it with any of these. Now, the roads actually look correct and they don't look like a stack of potatoes. So, let's take a look at what I did. To start off with, there's one setting you're going to want to change actually through the game's XMLs. So, to do that, you're going to need to go into My Documents, My Games, Farming Simulator 2075, and you're going to pull up the game XML. I use, we're not going to change anything right this second because we have the game running. But I'm doing this so I can show you what it is. I actually already have it saved the way we need to. This has just been, I changed it back so that you'll see what it actually is. I use Notepad++ for all of my XML editing, all kinds of stuff like this. If you want to just use your standard Notepad, you can. Notepad++, though, is a free program that has a ton of extra features. If you're planning on doing a lot of XML stuff, you should just get it. So what we're looking at though is right down here under head tracking. For some reason, even if you turn it off in game settings, it doesn't actually turn off the settings. So you're going to find head tracking in here, and under each one of these values for true, you are going to change over to false. Then once you do that, make sure to save your XML file, whether you're doing Notepad++ or standard Notepad. Save it after you change those to false, close it, and you will be all set. I'm not hitting save right there because I have the game running. I recommend doing that when you do not have the game running because I don't know what kind of issues that's going to cause if you're editing the XML file while it's running, or if that matter, if it will just not work. Now, I will tell you, once you mess with your settings, that will revert back to being true. So you will have to go back in and adjust that if you do that first, like I just showed you. So maybe I should have showed you last, but that's the only thing that we need to do with the actual XML file for our settings for our purposes right now. Back to the game, I'm going to quit out of our instance right there so that we can go back and take a look at the graphics in the main out of game menu. So we go under options, graphics, and advanced graphics. Now you can pretty much ignore my medium custom right here because I've changed all kinds of stuff like crazy. Draw distance. The way I figured out all of my settings, I came in and I maxed or minned or maxed and then went into the game, exited out, then minned it all the way down, went back into the game, exited out, and I just played around with every single setting basically one at a time so that I could try and see how everything was working in the game and what effect it had on my game. And I was running NVIDIA's control panel sort of thing so that I could see exactly what effect it had on my GPU utilization and if it had any real effect on CPU. For some reason, I see almost no effect at all on CPU from this game. I don't know exactly why that is. Maybe it is just because I do have a very good CPU, but it seems weird to me. Anyways, sorry to go slightly off topic there. Back to draw distance. The reason I'm talking about this, I really saw no difference in my game, and this is me saying in my game. I know different people are having different results on graphics, especially on PC, even when they have the exact same main components. So I don't know exactly what's going on. But I saw no difference in my game with anything draw distance wise, except for your foliage draw distance. My object draw distance, I really didn't notice anything. My LOD and my terrain LOD, the terrain looked the same no matter what. Foliage, though, is your crops, your trees, well, your crops, your bushes, your grass, stuff like that. That is that big circle that you get when you're looking anywhere in the game when you're zoomed out in third person and you can see that big circle around you. This had the biggest impact on that, and the higher I took that out, the further it took that circle. So at 150, I've got a pretty good view, and it doesn't have a massive GPU performance hit, anything like that for me. I'm running most of the time with just the game at about 50% GPU utilization. So yes, if I was not recording, I could push this all a lot further than I am. With recording, I've got to cut everything back because my recording is using up GPU as well. So that was draw distance. Render quality. I really didn't notice much of a difference at all when I tried upscaling and downscaling, because I did do that to see what effect it would have on my GPU. It didn't do a whole lot. Shader quality I have on medium on both. For some reason, if I put it to low or if I put it to high, I get a ton of screen flicker and stuttering. I don't know why. I don't know if maybe I just need to let the low or the high quality shaders render for a little while longer or what, but medium is working perfectly for me. I hardly ever get any screen flicker anymore. I'll get the black screen flicker once in a while, but flickering, stuttering for the most part is gone. I can even play in first person in the tractors now, which if you saw some of my first videos there, it did not work for me at all before. Screen space shading rate and reflections are both set to off. Shadows I have set to off for space shadows. I've turned off my shadows completely just because with the way they were working before, it looked terrible and I didn't want to see it. Now I will say the cloud shadows, for some reason, even though it's set to off, I still get cloud shadows, but I haven't found anywhere in an XML yet that I can try and turn that off completely, so I just haven't worried about it. SAO I have set to medium. Atmosphere and fog qualities I have set to low. Atmosphere is your sky and your clouds. Honestly, it still looks pretty good in game with it being on low. It looks better on the higher ones, but you know, I'm hardly ever really looking up. So I was more concerned about getting my ground textures to look good, and dropping this down, it's gonna help my performance. So therefore I'm not so worried about having that low. The fog does look a little bit weird on low. You kind of get this really dense line across the top of the fog that looks a little odd, but it's nothing completely immersion breaking, game breaking, anything like that. Like I said, cloud shadows are off. Terrain quality is high because it drives me nuts if that looks bad. And I was trying to fix the roads looking potatoey and stuff like that, so I turned that up. I managed to get it on high without having too big of a performance hit. And then same with texture resolution, high on that as well. Texture filtering. Here is my biggest thing to hit on right now. I was running this in bilinear to try and help my performance, reduce my GPU, stuff like that. It seems to me, for my game at least, when I had it on bilinear at the lowest quality I could, it actually hit my performance worse than turning it up. So Anzio 16X here is the anisotropic, not Anzio, whatever. It is the highest level you can put it on in this game, at least that I have available in settings right now. And that's what fixed my potatoey roads. So one thing is that fixed the potatoey roads. Roads actually look correct now, and most terrain in general, the windrows, everything like that, look way better with this turned up. And it's actually helping my performance. I think that when it was lower, I had a lot more rendering going on continuously, and now that it's higher and keeping everything rendered in, it's not affecting it constantly trying to render or something. I don't know exactly what caused or why it was doing it, but for some reason having it on low quality gave me a bigger performance hit than having it on high quality, which makes no sense at all. But hey, it all works now, so I don't care. Light quality, medium. This does have a fairly large impact on performance. So if you go high or ultra high, whatever the options are on there, it does have a pretty big effect. Lens flare quality. I've had a couple people tell me in comments that I should have this on to help with the flickering. For me, I didn't really see any difference between whether I had it on or off with the flickering and stuff like that. Shadow quality, like I said, I turned all my shadows off because they just looked bad. They looked bad, and it was definitely hitting performance, especially when wind would blow in the game and it would cause the shadows to go crazy from the trees, and it would just spike my GPU like crazy because it was trying to do a lot more things. I turned it off. It's a little bit less immersive because you don't see the shadows and it looks a little bit more arcadey. I may try turning them back on with the texture filtering up. I haven't done that yet, but honestly, it's not that big of a deal for me, especially for making videos and stuff, so I've just been keeping them off. I turned all of the options low and off as well for shadows, just in case, kind of like with the cloud shadows, it wouldn't necessarily turn them off when I had it low, but I have not had any shadows except for some cloud shadowing, which is very minimal when I see it. All right, foliage shadows turned off, because again, I turned off all shadows. Realistic beacons turned off. I honestly hardly ever use the beacons, so I don't really know how big an effect it had on the GPU, but whatever. Field of view, I've more or less left the defaults, I believe. I initially turned them up somewhat, so maybe they're still turned up slightly. It shouldn't have that big of an impact on your GPU. It should have some because you're going to be looking at more at once than if you have it lower. But I don't know. Shadow lights I have turned all the way down. Again, shadows are off, so it really shouldn't matter because I shouldn't be casting a shadow no matter what. Max mirrors I have turned down as well. For some reason, even when I wasn't looking at mirrors, if this was turned up, it had an impact on GPU. I don't know if it's because stuff was still rendering in mirrors or in reflective surfaces when I wasn't looking at them or what, but it does help having it lower even if you aren't looking at mirrors. And I think the most mirrors I've seen on Tractor is usually 3 anyways that you can look at one time, so it's not that big a deal. Max tire tracks. I did even try turning this down lower at one point and it didn't seem to have much of a difference, but I don't want it to be too high simply because I don't really care how many tire tracks are kept. Like, you drive past them and they go away, and it's not that far even if you have it maxed up at 400%, and it does seem to affect the GPU at least some. Max tessellation, honestly, I don't think the fill levels look that fantastic no matter what the fill planes, so again, I've kept it relatively low just simply because it hasn't had a huge visual impact for me no matter what. And then post-processing. I know some people have more luck with DLSS, some people have more luck with FSR. It's what it is. Play around with them, see what works best for you. FSR does seem to be working a little bit better for me than anything else, so that's what I'm going with. So thank you very much for watching. Hopefully this helped you out. If you have any questions, let me know down in the comments. Thank you to everyone who left comments, tips, help, everything for me while I was having all this trouble. I look forward to getting a lot more videos out for you guys soon. If you have not subscribed yet, please subscribe. It really does help me out. I will see you guys next time, and until then, happy gaming and have a fantastic day.